In the rugged hills of northern Vermont, near the small town of Willow Creek, lived a hard-working lumberjack named Elias Thorne. Elias was a tall, broad-shouldered man in his late 30s, with calloused hands, a weathered face framed by a thick beard, and kind blue eyes that had seen too many hard winters. He shared a modest log cabin on the edge of the Green Mountain National Forest with his loving wife, Clara, and their 3 children, 2 boys, Caleb and Jonah, and a little girl named Lily. Every dawn, Elias would rise before the rooster crowed, kiss Clara on the forehead, and head into the woods with his old reliable axe, a double-bit felling axe he'd inherited from his father. The blade was nicked and dulled from years of use, but it was sharp enough for an honest day's work. He'd spend hours selecting mature trees, careful not to over-harvest, then buck them into logs and split them into firewood. By late afternoon, he'd load his battered pickup truck and drive into town to sell bundles at the local market or to the general store. Life wasn't easy. The pay was barely enough for groceries, heating oil, and the kids' school supplies. Winters were brutal, and more than once the family relied on venison from Elias's hunting trips and vegetables from Clara's small garden. But Elias never complained. "Hard work and honesty, that's what builds a man," he'd tell Clara as they sat by the wood stove in the evenings, mending clothes or reading stories to the children by lantern light. The folks in Willow Creek respected Elias. He always gave fair measure, helped neighbors clear fallen trees after storms, and never turned away someone in need. Yet hardship pressed on. Medical bills piled up when Jonah broke his arm, and the truck needed constant repairs. One chilly October morning, Elias ventured deeper into the forest than usual, following a trail along the swift-flowing Otter Creek. He spotted a massive sugar maple, perfect for firewood, and perhaps a few boards he could mill and sell. As he swung his axe with practiced force, the blade hit a hidden burl. The axe jerked violently, flew from his grip, and tumbled into the deep rushing current with a hollow splash. Elias stared in dismay as his lifeline disappeared beneath the swirling water. Without that axe, no work, no money, no way to feed his family. He dropped to his knees on the rocky bank, searching frantically, but the river was too deep and fast. Despair overwhelmed him. "Lord," he prayed aloud, voice cracking, "why now? How am I going to provide for Clara and the kids?" He lingered there until dusk, hoping against hope. As the sun dipped behind the mountains, painting the sky in fiery reds, the water began to glow with an unearthly light. Elias blinked in astonishment as a radiant figure rose from the depths, a majestic river spirit, neither man nor woman, cloaked in shimmering mist with eyes like polished river stones and hair flowing like cascading water. "Poor lumberjack," the spirit said, in a voice like wind through pines, "is this the axe you lost?" In its hand gleamed a magnificent axe of pure gold, its handle carved with intricate patterns. Elias gazed at the golden axe. It was worth thousands, enough to clear debts, fix the truck, maybe even buy a better home. Greed tugged at him briefly, but his honest soul won out. He shook his head. "No, that's not mine. My axe was plain steel, worn and old, with a hickory handle." The spirit nodded and submerged again. This time, it emerged holding a silver axe, gleaming brightly. "Is this yours, then?" Again, Elias resisted. "No, sir or ma'am, mine wasn't silver either, just good old iron." The spirit smiled, a sight that warmed Elias's heart. It dove once more and returned with his exact battered axe. "This one?" "Yes," Elias cried, relief flooding him. "That's her." "Because your heart is true and you spoke honesty even when riches tempted you, I grant you a blessing," the spirit declared. It handed him his old axe, along with the golden and silver ones. "These are gifts from the ancient waters. Use them with wisdom." Elias bowed low, stammering thanks, until the spirit dissolved back into the river. He gathered the axes and hurried home. When Clara saw the treasures, her eyes widened. "Elias Thorne, what in heaven's name?" He told the tale, and they wept with joy together. They sold the golden axe first in Burlington, fetching a fortune that changed everything. Debts vanished, they bought a sturdy new house in town, warm clothes, healthy food, and even enrolled the kids in better schools. Elias expanded his business, hiring helpers, buying a proper sawmill, trading lumber regionally. The silver axe sold later brought even more prosperity. Soon, Elias was the wealthiest man in Willow Creek. Loggers sought his advice, townsfolk tipped their hats, and his family wanted for nothing. At first, Elias stayed grounded. He built a small cairn by the river to honor the spirit, visiting weekly with offerings of thanks. He donated to the church, helped widows with firewood, and sponsored community events. "I ain't doing this myself," he'd say humbly. "It's a gift from above, or below the water anyhow. We gotta pay it forward." Clara beamed with pride. Caleb excelled in school, Jonah fixed engines like a pro, and Lily filled the house with laughter. But wealth has a way of whispering poison over time. Slowly, Elias began crediting his own smarts. "I always had a good head for business," he'd boast at the country club he now joined. "That day by the river, pure luck, sure, but I turned it into an empire." Prayers to the spirit faded. He scoffed at old friends still swinging axes for a living. "Bunch of dreamers," he'd mutter. "If they worked half as smart as me, they wouldn't be scraping by." Pride ballooned. He built a grand Victorian mansion on a hill overlooking town, with wraparound porches, crystal chandeliers, and acres of manicured lawns. He bought luxury trucks, a speedboat for the lake, and employed a staff of housekeepers and groundskeepers. Parties were legendary, catered feasts, live bluegrass bands, whiskey flowing freely. He lent money at steep interest, seizing properties when folks fell behind. Clara begged him, "Elias, remember the river spirit's gift. Pride's a dangerous path. Don't lose who you are." He waved her off. "Clara, honey, times change. This is the American dream. I earned it." The children grew entitled, demanding the latest gadgets and looking down on poor kids at school. Then came the reckoning. A historic nor'easter slammed Vermont. Record rains, flash floods, mudslides. Elias's riverside lumber yards were devastated. Millions in inventory washed away. His new investments in out-of-state timber ventures soured when markets crashed. He'd bragged about a big real estate flip in Florida, pouring savings into it, but hurricanes hit, insurance fought claims, and the deal collapsed. Creditors descended, auctions stripped assets, the mansion sold at a loss, vehicles repossessed, staff dismissed. Fair-weather friends ghosted him. In under 3 years, Elias was broke again, worse than before, with no truck, no tools beyond his old axe, and a family crammed into a rented trailer. Clara aged a decade overnight. The kids, unaccustomed to struggle, rebelled in anger. One desperate evening, Elias returned to the riverbank. Kneeling on the same rocks, he wept. "River spirit, I'm so sorry. I forgot your mercy. Let pride blind me. Please forgive this fool. Give me another chance." He called through the night, voice cracking with regret. But the water remained dark and silent. No glow, no spirit. As morning light filtered through the trees, understanding dawned. The miracle had been a test of gratitude, of character. He'd failed spectacularly, claiming divine favor as personal genius. Pride had engineered his greater fall. Humbled to his core, Elias gripped his old axe, the one untouched by ruin, and went back to honest labor. Day by day, swing by swing, he rebuilt a simple life. He shared his story openly, warning all who listened. Riches come and go, but pride, that'll destroy everything you hold dear. Willow Creek never forgot Elias Thorne's tale.